Welcome, friends, to another Wolff Responds. I want to call this one U.S. Gone Rogue with a question mark. Here's what I mean. At the end of World War II, after the defeat of the fascists in Germany and Italy and Japan, Spain, there was a change of politics. From being an ally, the Soviet Union became the great enemy of the United States. And in the words of a leading thinker of the time, George Kennan, the United States committed itself to containment. And what that meant was containing Russia, the socialist communist movement of which Russia was the leader at the time, Soviet Union, had to be, the Americans thought, contained so that whatever they were couldn't spread, wouldn't spread, and like a disease infect other parts of the world. And so the United States embarked on a program of containment. It involved building military bases around the world, later extended to, of course, the Pacific because of the Chinese Revolution. And so it also involved spying, it involved psychological warfare, it involved political maneuvers, several wars, large and small. But it was the kind of flavor of the last 70 years, containment. In some ways, it worked. The Soviet Union collapsed. In some ways, it failed. The Chinese experiment outlasted and outperformed the Soviet. But we have now reached a situation where something bizarre has happened. The world is upside down, and the containment by the United States of others is becoming the containment by others of the United States. More and more, the world around us looks at the United States, and I speak as someone born here, lived here all my life, worked here all my life, live here now. As an American citizen of the U.S., we are becoming a rogue state. We are becoming the object of efforts by the rest of the world to contain something that scares them about the United States. It's like the reverse of what happened after World War II in the 1940s. Now, let me explain how and why that's happening. I could start anywhere, but I'm going to start with things that isolate the United States and make it appear to be dangerous, with very, very few exceptions. The rest of the world is horrified and opposed to what the Israeli government is doing in Gaza. People disagree about the goods and bads and rights and wrongs of the Israelis and the Palestinians. Many even blame or criticize Hamas for what it did last October. I get all that. I understand it. I assume you do too. But those are separate questions from the specific tactics and strategy being used over the last year by the Israelis in Gaza. This is serious. The only significant support that Israel has, money, weapons, political cover, is from the United States. And the global disagreement with Israel's policies in Gaza is becoming attached to the United States, and it is isolating the United States. Recent votes in the United Nations involve hundreds of countries voting against us. When you add the abstentions, it's like everybody, with the exception of the United States, Israel, and maybe one or two others. But that's the tip of the iceberg. Then there are the tariffs. Mr. Trump has hit one country after another with tariffs. Countries that considered us as their close friends, their warm allies. Mexico, Canada, many European countries now look upon the United States as a danger, as an enemy, as a foreigner, as a risk. We are becoming isolated as countries find themselves not in a discussion about trade relations, but under threats, daily threats from the leader of the United States, who doesn't even hesitate to imply or suggest military action, if not given what he demands. Panama Canal, Greenland, Mexico as Canada as a 51st state, Mexico knuckling under. We even have the most recent extension of this behavior. Mr. Trump recently announced what might be called secondary tariffs. He proposed that he might tariff countries who purchased oil from Venezuela. You'll get a tariff not because of a problem between you and the United States, but we don't like how you're dealing with third countries, and we're going to punish you for it. Nobody else does this, friends and neighbors. This is extraordinary behavior in the community of nations. But I'm not done. The United States Navy patrols the world. A big part of it is in the South China Sea. There's no comparable Chinese Navy here. Nobody else does this sort of thing. It's aggressive. It's the behavior that would, if someone else did it, be called rogue. I'm not done. The whole world has said enough with the embargo on Cuba. You've been doing it for over half a century. If the goal was to change the government in Cuba, clearly that doesn't work. If the goal was to change the political life in Cuba, that doesn't work. It's hurtful to the mass of the Cuban people, probably minimally to those who run that society, who you say are your major enemy. Stop already. The vast majority of nations around the world have voted to end the embargo against that country. Small country, 10 or 11 million people, the United States, 330 million people. We have relations with other countries that are much more risky for America than Cuba ever was. What are you doing, the world says? Why are you holding a grudge like that? Even your President Obama relaxed it for a while. You're now revving it up again? What for? What strange behavior? I'm still not done. I want to go back to Panama, Greenland, Canada, Mexico. Nowhere else on earth are there political leaders laying out what parts of the world, far from their shores, they're preparing to snatch with military means, being threatened. Other people's property, other countries' sovereign wealth, other countries' very existence. Who else calls the leader of other countries not by their local name, governor, senator, president, but by a name you choose to suggest they aren't sovereign, but they are subordinate to you? What kind of behavior is this? Some of the worst histories of colonialism and imperialism seem to be being revived here in and by the United States. And then last but not least, the sanctions. Hundreds, thousands of sanctions in which the United States government punishes a businessman here, an industry over there, a company over here, an entire country. At first, it was a very few, North Korea, Iran, Russia, but it multiplies. There's somebody in the world running around heaving sanctions. Most of the world doesn't do that. And the few that do it very minimally. We are the completely outside example. What's going on? I could continue with the list. I won't. But it's enough to say this is unique behavior. It is rare behavior. It is nasty. It is aggressive. It is hurtful. It is frightening people around the world. It is angering people around the world. European countries are giving advisories to their tourists not to come to the United States the way they once did. Canadians are changing their vacation plans. We are becoming isolated, a pariah. And the people of the world are looking at us and asking the question that I gave the title of this talk to. U.S. becoming rogue? And make no mistake, you become rogue in the minds of the rest of the world is not a good sign, is nothing to be proud of. It doesn't suggest you're getting stronger. It says you're getting weak, and in your desperation, you are becoming aggressive. And the rest of the world backs away. We need to change what we do, to change how we are perceived, not to do favors to others, although it will be one, but to do a big fat favor for ourselves and our survival. If interventions like this strike you as interesting or useful, please share this video with friends, coworkers, neighbors, anyone you think might be interested. That's why we make them. And of course, if you can contribute a little financial help to defray the cost of doing this, that would be enormously appreciated as well. Just go to our website, democracyatwork.info, and it'll be clear how to do that. Once again, thank you.